of a different feel this year. One of the buzzwords has been DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and crackdowns by the federal government have trickled down to the corporate level. So what impact has that had on celebrating Pride? Let's talk about it with Andrew Isen. He runs Winmark Concepts, and he's up with me tonight here on the Final Five. First of all, good to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks, Jim. It's nice to see you again.
Okay, so you talk quite a bit with us through the years about this. The attitude that DEI was never a political statement, but in America 2025, everything is political. So how do companies pretend this is not a political fight?
Well, first of all, it's very important to state, there's this whole controversy with DEI since the Trump administration has come back in office, has risen its head to something that's quite surprising. One of the things I think viewers and everyone needs to understand is that DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, was never meant to be affirmative action. It's not affirmative action. It's a way of stating that everyone in a company is equal and everybody brings something individually to that organization.
You and I have discussed this in the past, and I think one of the best examples was the fallout from Bud Light when they brought in a trans influencer, and they didn't do a marketing campaign with her. They sent her a couple of cans with her face on it. And that blew up into this whole ordeal that Bud Light had to backtrack. Anheuser-Busch saw some impacts to their bottom line here. We have seen this time around companies like Target go back. Target was always very visible around Pride Month. They had racks and racks of Pride merchandise. Do you think corporate America, in times like these, are they too quick to bow down to criticism and to boycotts?
The problem is, use Target as a good example. They did back down quite quickly, and there's a measurable impact on their business. They've had to publicly state through their reporting that their foot traffic is down substantially, and they even had to state last year that part of their decline was because of their Pride merchandise, which the far right took as offensive and began to boycott the company.
So there were some activist shareholders with Costco that try to go to the rank and file shareholders and say, hey, we want to encourage this company to pull back from DEI efforts. And by and large, shareholders said, no way. Costco stock is through the roof. Apple continues with DEI efforts. Ben and Jerry's, if you look at their packaging, they have really sucked their necks out with a very pro-Palestinian message on their cartons of ice cream. Looking at these companies, is this a matter of them having stronger leadership, or do they not have anything to lose here?
I think it's a matter of both. I think leadership is critical. But I also want to say this. We can talk about the negative impacts of DEI and companies pulling back, but not everybody's pulled back. And I think it's really important to say this. Yes, they may have been shedding the words DEI, the letters DEI and the words, but they're renaming them, they're rebranding them. They're rebranding them to something called opportunities, and they're rebranding them to something called belonging. So in many respects, there's good news. So that many of the companies that didn't cave in many instances are actually empowering their diversity projects, albeit rebranded. And I think that's a very important thing to say. One of the things I'd like to add, Jim, McKinsey & Company, which is not exactly a liberal organization, 2 years ago did a study, and they said that companies with diverse and inclusive management teams were 39% more likely to financially outperform companies that didn't have gender and ethnic representation. That's a big number. That's a bottom line. So it's critical that people understand that DEI isn't this horrible thing. It's a quantification that actually makes companies money. The more diverse we are.
Why do you think DEI as a concept has become such a bad word in the eyes of many people in this country?
Let's be honest, part of DEI, whether you be of color, whether you be a woman, whether you be LGBTQ, whether you be a veteran, you want to work for a company that knows who you are and values who you are. Otherwise, you're not going to go to work there, and the talent will drain out, and companies know that. So again, I'm very optimistic that we'll see a reordering of this but we will not see the demise of it.
Andrew Isen on the Final Five. Andrew, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, Jim. It's a pleasure.
And we're back after this.